and welcome to the Bod's Box. Yes, we have another name sharer here. Been a while since that's happened. This Cobra is the Belgian one, so no cuddly toy snakes this time. Instead, I'm wearing this because Cobra wore one in its official photo for Series 9. One that was in the colours of the Belgian flag, no less. Now we go on to more important matters, the robot itself. This Cobra was entered by Team Rubbish, and no, really that was their team name, into Series 9 with some additional Dutch team members from Team Codox because their robot, Tough as Nails, didn't get in that series. Cobra itself was an invertible box robot with 4-wheel drive and a crusher based on the head of a cobra, complete with fangs. Unfortunately, its wheels were all exposed. Cobra found home in the second heat, Heat B, and its group battle it faced Egg Beater Spinner Hobgoblin, Flipper Eruption, and the Bulldozer Bot Behemoth. It has been over 15 months since I last talked about this fight, people. Behemoth was, in fact, Cooper's first target, and the scooper got shoved into a wall before accidentally bumping into Eruption. Oops. They bumped into Behemoth before staying clear of any flipping weapons, which was a good thing because Eruption had flipped Hobgoblin, which removed them from the fight. Hobgoblin, that is. And Behemoth flipped Eruption. Being able to self-right, Eruption was still very much in contention. Cobra next came into contact with Eruption's flipper. They could still run, though they were upside down because of getting flipped, and used the floor flipper to right themselves, basically so they could maintain weapon effectiveness. So Eruption flipped Cobra onto the floor flipper, and they got flipped by that too. Both times, they somehow managed to land right side up. Cobra then introduced Behemoth to the arena spikes, as if they weren't familiar with them already from Series 3. But they got away. Behemoth, that is. Cobra tried a head-on attack on Behemoth, but they just got turned over again. While still upside down, Cobra opened the pit, but stayed too close to Sekilot and got picked up. Sekilot dropped them on their wheels, but they landed nice and neatly on the flame pit. That didn't affect them though. They went straight after Behemoth again, got turned over, and Eruption shoved them around and into the spikes again. Once Eruption righted Cobra, which is very nice of them, Behemoth took Cobra on a tour of the arena too, and turned Cobra over again. They got carried around by Eruption and righted again before time ran out on the fight. When Ceasar was called, Cobra had been flipped upside down one last time. The fight went to the judges and they knocked Cobra out. Basically, they ruled that Cobra didn't win. Sadly, what we didn't get to see was Cobra's team's reaction to losing by judges, because on screen the only teams who seemed to be informed of the decision were Eruption's team and Behemoth's team. Presumably Cobra had been told separately. However, this is not the last we see of Cobra. You see, although they didn't get into Series 10 proper, they did get into the first of the 2 World Series episodes. They were minus the Team Codox members because they had managed to get into the second episode with a completely different robot. We'll mention that when the time is right. Obviously, they were in the Team Rest of the World, headed by Diatoire's team, no less. And win the first tag team battle in the first episode. And they teamed up with another Dutch robot, this time an Axebot called Tomahawk. Their opponents were the flipper Apollo, great, another flipper, and the thwacking bot Gabriel 2, bringing swords to the party. Cobra went out first and wasn't afraid of going head first into Apollo, and avoided getting flipped pretty much every single time. They'd drive over Apollo, no problem. They caught the spikes, but after driving over Apollo again, they opened the pit. It ran over Apollo again, just missed driving into the pit, shoved Apollo, and finally got flipped for the first time before tagging Tomahawk into the fight. Tomahawk drove straight into the clutches of Dead Metal and released the fog of war. So Gabriel 2 joined the battle and all rules left the arena at that moment. Chaos happens in tag team battles. If you haven't realised this yet, welcome. Team Rubbish were highly confused by this, but they stayed away from Gabriel 2 and Tomahawk having an axe-sword fight, which is always a sensible thing to do. You don't want to get hit by an axe or a sword. So they took on Apollo instead. They were turned upside down easily, but they still kept going, though they were under a lot of pressure from Apollo. The floor flippers saved the Belgians from Dead Metal, though. Dead Metal then took up on Apollo, because it was there. Also, Dead Metal has history with Apollo. Meanwhile, Cobra flew air floor flipper again. Gabriel 2 went after Dead Metal and Cobra tagged Tomahawk into the fight again. Cobra then tried ramming into Apollo, but sadly Tomahawk got in the way of both Cobra and Apollo, got hit by both at the same time and got sent flying. A spike got dislodged from the arena as well. Cobra also happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time when Apollo flipped Dead Metal, i.e. right behind the house robot. So when Dead Metal got shoved into a wall, so did Cobra. Cobra got free just in time, and time was running out on the battle. However, with 1 second left, Tomahawk reversed straight into the pit of oblivion. So, of course, the UK won the tag team battle. Now, the way the episode goes, when every robot had a one-on-one fight, and Cobra had its one-on-one fight against the drum spinner Sabretooth. Cobra was not afraid to go head on into Sabretooth and hit their drum spinner straight away. Sabretooth elected to press the hit release tire, but this time they set off the fog of war. This did not confuse Team Rubbish. Instead, they hit the side of Sabretooth before releasing the rogue house robot, Killalot. Cobra ran away, as any robot releasing house robot should do, and ran into Sabretooth side on, turning it over and making its drum less effective because it will be going instead of and going that way doesn't do as much damage as the other way. So Cobra took advantage of this, rammed Sabretooth into walls, including one into Killalot CPZ. Sabretooth used the gyro forces to self-right, which was the cue for Cobra to not leave Sabretooth be for anything more than 2 seconds. At least that's what it seemed like to me. Alas, Cobra somehow managed to strain to Dead Metal CPZ. They escaped, rammed Sabretooth into a wall, and turned it over again. So that was the cue for some more gyro dancing. After a floor flipper flip, Cobra nudged Sabretooth, who was still dancing, into Killalot, missed the dial and met Dead Metal again. They escaped to annoy Sabretooth until time ran out in the fight, and yet another fight involving Cobra went to the judges. This time, Cobra won! It was also their last fight. Cobra was absolutely fearless and would not roll over anyone. It's a case of, doesn't matter who you are, Cobra will not fly over and die, and it didn't immediately look like the kind of robot that would do that, but it did. I wish we could see more of it. It's definitely better at the one-on-one fights than the fights with multiple robots in, because it really needs to focus its energy on one robot at a time. It's an ace spinner killer. It would not let Sabretooth attack it at all. It was either haranguing Sabretooth and not letting it attack it, or just too quick for it. One question though, and it's a big one. According to the wiki, Team Rubbish's team captain managed to set himself on fire whilst building Cobra. How did that happen? So, who's next? Who do we get for episode 72? Certainly one way to find out. It's this one. And this one is Lambsy. Yes, now for something completely different. Until next week, Callus and 244 out.